Momo the Dreaded Witch. In the heart of Ilolo village, nestled deep within the shadows of ancient trees and whispered legends, lived a woman known simply as Momo. She was not like the other villagers. Her skin was as dark as the night sky, and her eyes gleamed with a mysterious intensity that made even the bravest souls in Ilolo uneasy. Momo was rumored to possess powers beyond mortal understanding. Whispers carried on the wind spoke of her ability to communicate with spirits and weave spells that could alter fate itself. But what frightened the villagers the most was her peculiar trade. She cooked and sold food made with human blood. The oil she used for her food was human blood. It was said that under the cover of darkness, Momo would venture into the nearby town and strike bargains with desperate souls who sought her magic. For a price, she would promise them their heart's desires, but the cost was always steep. Those who dared to cross her often found themselves at the mercy of her dark arts. Despite the fear and suspicion that surrounded her, Momo's food stall in Ilolo's bustling marketplace was always crowded. Even with all the rumors said about Momo, people still have the disturbing urge to buy her food, that until she finished selling her food, no other person could sell. It got to the extent that other sellers usually wait until she finished selling before they bring their food out for sale. The aroma of her dishes, infused with herbs and spices unknown to the villagers, drew people like moths to a flame. They whispered among themselves, exchanging nervous glances as they lined up to purchase her food. One particular humid evening, as the village prepared for its annual festival, Momo's presence loomed larger than ever. The air was thick with anticipation and the scent of roasted meats. Momo stood behind her stall, clad in flowing robes that shimmered in the moonlight. Her fingers moved deftly as she prepared her signature dish, a soup rumored to grant longevity to those who consumed it. The key ingredient, known only to her, was human blood carefully collected from willing donors who seek for her spiritual services. As the night wore on, the festival reached its zenith. Villagers danced to the rhythmic beat of drums, their laughter mingling with the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. But amidst the revelry, a hushed conversation took place among a group of elders gathered in the shadows. "We cannot allow this any longer," whispered one, his voice trembling with resolve. "Momo's powers are too dangerous. We must confront her before it's too late." Nods of agreement rippled through the group, and with determined steps, they went and sought permission from the king of Ilolo, which he gladly accepted. Then, that same night, they approached Momo's stall. The villagers watched in tense silence, their curiosity tinged with apprehension as the elders confronted the strong woman. Momo regarded them with an unreadable expression, her dark eyes gleaming knowingly. She listened as they accused her of dark magic and profane rituals, of preying upon the desperate and vulnerable. One of the elders said, "Momo, we already know, you are a witch, so don't pretend as if you don't know what we are talking about." But instead of showing fear or remorse, Momo smiled, a smile that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to meet her gaze. "You misunderstood me." She finally spoke, her voice soft yet carrying a mighty authority. "I do not harm those who come to me willingly. Yes, I'm a witch, but my witchcraft serves a purpose beyond your understanding." She finally convinced the elders that she was using the ancient recipes of her great-grandmother, which provide a good living for herself and her family, that she meant no harm. "Okay," one of the elders said, "but you will have to take oath to prove that you mean no harm to the villagers and that your food is not harmful too." Momo looked at the sky for a few minutes, and she said, "Okay. I will do as you all wish." The day of the oath-taking came. Adults, teenagers and children in the community of Ilolo gathered in the village square, waiting for Momo. Few minutes later, Momo arrived dressed with black and black attire. The king of the village arrived shortly too. The king's representative, Chief Manto, stood up, greeted the king and everyone present, then he proceeded. "The village has been known for good deals and peace from time immemorial, but all of a sudden, the villagers are engulfed with fear because of you, Momo. We plan to banish you from this village before we send some people to you. Since you've convinced them that your magic is not of evil, because you and your husband Orogba are from this land, we have decided to give you fair hearing. You will your innocence by swearing with the spirits of the forefathers of the land of Ilolo. Do you accept? Momo, Chief Manto said. Yes, sir. Momo replied. Then the king asked Momo to hold the royal scepter and repeat the words of Chief Manda. Before Chief Manda started the declaration, he saw a young girl coming from the stream. Then he called the girl, "Bring that water, my daughter." The girl gladly obeyed. Then he said, "Momo, use your hands and drink from the water. Water has no enemy, no man can stop a river from flowing. Peradventure you have swallowed some things so that this oath will have no effect. This water will neutralize it and the oath will take its course." The villagers echoed easy. Momo obeyed. She drank the water. Then Chief Manda said, "Repeat this after me." The truth is, Momo was indeed a wicked and terrible witch. Before she went for the oath-taking, she did magic so that the oath she would take in the village square will have no effect on her. She used her diabolic power to put magic bag in her throat so that all the oaths she would take in the village square will land in the magic bag her throat. Than her throat. For the magic to be potent, she was not supposed to eat anything or drink anything till she removed the magic bag from her throat. Reasons that one of the ingredients she used for the concoction was salt and white chalk. Momo's 2 children and her husband were waiting patiently for her to return. They wanted to follow her to the meeting, but she refused and told them it wasn't safe for them. Yes, though Momo was the woman, she has changed her husband's status with her magical powers. Momo was in charge of everything in the family. She makes decisions, no one dares to question. Her husband Orogba was just like her servant. The family of Orogba, knowing who Momo was, were too scared to confront her, though they've had many fights in the past for the same issue, to the point that they've decided to seek solutions from far and near in order to set their brother Orogba free. Momo returned, and she was so tensed. Orogba and her 4 children, Iro, Ora, Otie, and Belitu, were curious. And they asked her, how did it go? She snubbed them and went into her room. They were surprised. Momo went inside her sacred room, which no other person has access to, and locked the door. She quickly started her rituals and incantations to remove the magic bag in her throat. When she removed, she screamed. The magic has been neutralized because of the water she took in the village square. She tried to fix it, it didn't work. The salt and the native chalk has melted. The next day, before the cock rose, she went for a long journey to fix what might lead to her downfall. She visited 7 powerful witch doctors in 3 villages to help her avert the curse. The witch doctors provided different remedies. The first native doctor, Azu, was known to be very powerful and wicked. There was a time in his village. The village of Ekoto, when he stopped rainfall for 3 years because the king summoned him because of what he did to a 15-year-old girl and her mother Odano. Odano was a widow in the village of Ekoto. She was poor and helpless, raising her 3 children all by herself since the tragic death of her husband who drowned while fishing. Her husband Kikido was a fisherman who has won many swimming competitions during Ekoto fishing festival that was done yearly in Ekoto village. The misery of only him not being able to swim when their boat capsized during fishing is still questionable till date. During the last fishing festival, when the young girls were dancing, Azu saw Odano's daughter, Bombay, and immediately he ordered his boys to summon her before him. From that moment he used magic on her. Bombay completely forgot everything. Then he took her home to be his 7th wife. The news reached Odano, then she ran to the king to help her save her daughter from Azu. Immediately, the king summoned all the elders and they sent for Azu. When he arrived, the king was furious. He said, "Azu, you are doing too much now. I've been quiet since. Now you have bitten more than you can chew. Since Odano lost her beloved husband to the cold hands of death, she has been taking care of her children. Allow, if you want to marry her daughter, why take her forcefully? It is not allowed. I will not allow such in my village. Then the king said, undo everything you did to that girl and send her back to her mother now, or be ready to leave this village immediately. Azu replied, all right, I have not done anything to her yet. I send her back to her mother. Then he left. All the elders were surprised. Azu is known to be very arrogant and wicked. How come he obeyed with ease? Then one of the elders said, he knows he is not above the king. Unknown to them, he has a deadly plan. Few months later, it was time for planting. There was no rainfall. The villagers waited till it became suspicious. Then they cried to the king, it seems the gods are angry with us, they cried. So the king summoned all the seers in the village. And they all gave the same response. The sky has been cursed by a man from this village. The rain will not fall for 3 years, they said. It's only the person that cursed the sky that can revert it, they concluded. And left. The king thought all through the night to know whom he might have offended. But he couldn't. King Adelik was a peaceful and good king. So he summoned all the seers again the next day, to tell him the person he has offended. And one of them replied, Azu the native doctor. The day you stopped him from marrying Bombay, Odano's daughter, you became his enemy. That same night, he placed curse in the sky of Ekoto that rain will not drop on it for 3 years. Immediately, the king took his guards and went to Azu's house. His plan was to settle peacefully with him for the sake of the community, but it was too late. Azu has got on exile. The wives told him, that very day, after Bombay's incident, after cursing the sky and the land of Ekoto, he told them he was going for exile for 3 years in a faraway village to acquire more powers. The king and the elders started looking for solutions. They started looking for who to avert the curse, but to no avail. They visited many strong men and women in different villages, but no one could break the curse of Azu. Their reasons were, as they were trying to break the curse, Azu was tightening it the more, with the new powers he was acquiring on exile. Azu finally returned back after 3 years. Before that time, the rivers have dried up. There was a great famine in the land of Ekoto. The good people of Umok village, the neighboring village to Ekoto, were supplying them food for free. King Adelik's second wife was a princess of Umok, and there was a good relationship between the two villages. So the king of Umok begged his people to assist the people of Ekoto during their crisis. He even asked them to stop bringing foodstuffs to his household, which the villagers normally do to honor the king, but the people insist that they why. The people insist that they will still bring food to his household and also support their neighbor Ekoto, because the king of Umok was also a good king. When Azu arrived, without hesitating, he went to his shrine, he brought out his calabash, he did some incantations and began to dance. As he was dancing, the sky between to change, it became clouded. The villagers were surprised. It is about to rain, they said. Then, the news went round that Azu has arrived. There was a great joy. Shout of joy was all over the village. People started running to Azu's house to confirm his return. In no time, his house was filled up with the people of Ekoto. Suddenly, there was a great wind. The wind was so strong that it fell so many trees, almost all the villagers' huts collapsed, including Azu's wife's huts. One of the villagers screamed, I knew this will happen. The rain was held for too long. A moment later, the rain started. The rain was so heavy that the village was almost swept away, and it continued for 3 days non-stop. After the incident, the villagers became more scared of Azu. Even the king was so scared to confront him, thinking he might cause another chaos. The second witch doctor, Momo consulted, was a woman, Oliha. She was also feared by the villagers of Umok. She once turned the river of Umok to blood when she had a land dispute with the people of Umok, that the people started going to Ekoto to fetch water. Then the king of Umok didn't have any option than to bow and forfeit the land to her even when everyone knew she was never the owner of the land. The remaining 5 witch doctors were from the great village of Odaira. The village was 2 times bigger than the village of Umok and Ikoto. And they were enemies of other neighboring villages surrounding them. Many times, the village of Odaira has tried to take over the lands of these 2 villages because they knew they were minor. So the village of Umok and Ikoto always teamed together to fight them whenever they throw a bullet. The last time, the people of Odaira robbed Ikoto's livestock. The people of Ikoto seek help from the Umoks and went to war with the people of Odaira. And they won, thereby recovering all their livestock from the people of Odaira. To make an everlasting bond, the king of Ikoto seek for the princess of Umok's hand in marriage. Since then, their relationship has moved from strength to strength. The people of Odaira were not good people, so it wasn't surprising that they have more than 10 powerful witch doctors. People from far and near who seek more devilish powers constantly visit Odaira. Now, Momo has visited all the 7 witch doctors. The solution to her problem was to successfully perform 21 rituals in an empty stomach. But the message was given in 7 remedies. They told her the curse will start manifesting after 3 days, so she must finish all her rituals on the night of the 3rd day. Actually, she never planned to visit 7 native doctors at once. It happened that when she visited Azu, after consulting his oracle, he told Momo remedy number 1, then he asked her to go to village of Umok and meet native Dr. Oleha to tell her the next thing she must do. Momo obeyed, got to Oleha's hut. When she finished her incarnation, she gave Momo remedy number 2 and asked her to go to the village of Odaira and look for Uziza, that he has remedy number 3. Then Oleha told Momo that she should be fast because she was meant to visit 7 witch doctors who will give her 7 remedies, and she must get all the answers that day so that she start the rituals immediately because her clock of doom was ticking. When Momo heard that, she ran as fast as she could to the village of Odaira. When she got to Uziza's house, he offered her water and asked her to pick one from the kola nuts that was on the floor and say what she wants the spirit to do for her. Momo whispered her heart desires into the kola nuts and returned it to Uziza. Then he went outside his hut, looked out the sky and laughed. He went inside to where Momo was sitting, and smiled. Then he gave her remedy number 3. And asked her to go to the 4th hut after his hut and meet another witch doctor, who was named Babata. Momo stood up fast and ran to Babata's hut. She was about to talk, then Babata stopped her and asked her not to worry, that her message has been delivered already. He gave Momo remedy number 4 and asked her to go back to the beginning of the village and wait under the big Iroko tree for her next remedy. Momo was already tired. Then she begged Babata if she can visit the remaining 2 native doctors whom she think might be after Babata's hut, before she visit the one in the beginning of the street when she heading back to her village. No, Babata screamed. The ways of the spirits are different from the ways of mortals. You must obey the order or go home and face your doom. No, cried Momo. I will do as you say, she answered and moved out hurriedly. Immediately, she stepped out. Babata called her name, Momo, be fast, you don't have much time. As she was going, she started wondering how powerful those native doctors are, compared to her own powers. I'm still learning, she said. When I'm free from this trouble, I will come back and acquire more powers from them, especially from this man Babata, who didn't ask me anything but knew my name and everything, she concluded. Momo got to the tree at the beginning of the village, and sat down. While she was waiting for the native doctor, she slept off. Inside her dream, one woman tapped her shoulder. She opened her eyes, still dreaming. She saw an albino old woman, who has lost all her teeth. She gave her the remedy number 5 and asked her to go to the big Iroko tree at the end of the village of Odaira and receive her remedy number 6. Immediately she woke and she discovered that she was dreaming. She understood that she has gotten the message, then she headed to the Iroko tree as commanded. When she got there, she sat down and slept off again. The same thing happened, but this time, it was an albino old man with a full teeth in his mouth. The teeth were as white as snow. He gave her remedy number 6 and asked her to go home. Then she was curious. Please, I thought I was receiving 7 remedies. The man kept quiet and Momo woke up from sleep. She was still not satisfied. But she kept quiet. As she was going home, she saw an old woman carrying heavy loads on her head. The woman looked at her thinking she would help her, but Momo passed without helping. As she was still hurrying home, she saw 2 young boys fighting. She didn't separate them, rather she hissed and passed. As she was still hurrying home, she saw a pregnant woman who was in labor. She was crying for help. Momo passed without helping. As she was still going, she met a sick man, shaking on the floor. Momo passed yet again. When she reached the end of the village, she met an old woman. She has passed the woman without even greeting when the old woman called her name, Momo. She was shocked and she said, "How did you know my name?" The woman laughed. Immediately, she gave her remedy number 7. She thanked her. As she was about going, "Momo," she called again. "Your heart is as dark as charcoal. You passed a sick man, okay. You passed a helper old woman, okay. You passed 2 children fighting, okay. Momo, you passed a woman who was labor. That was too much. You failed your shortcut test. If you had helped any of them, just one, your sins would have been forgiven. Instantly, the gods would have had mercy on you. There would have been no need for rituals. Now, you failed your good deed test. Go and try your luck again. Go home as fast as she could, open up on your family because you will need their help. Your time is ticking." The old woman concluded and immediately, she disappeared. Momo ran as fast as she could because she was supposed to start the rituals that same day. Momo got home very late that day, and she met her husband outside waiting for her while her kids were already asleep. "My wife said, Orogba, I've been waiting for you since morning. You didn't tell us you would take this long." Momo looked at him and said, "I'm sorry, my husband. I didn't plan the journey like this, but all thanks to the gods." Orogba was shocked with the way his wife Elolo responded. What could have happened to her, he murmured. Momo has been very rude and disrespectful to her husband Orogba ever since she started acquiring dark powers. The same powers he has used to cage him, which makes her to control him like her slave. Orogba literally has no say in their home. Everything Momo says, it's final. In fact, the villagers regard her as the husband while Orogba is usually regarded as the servant. Orogba's family weren't happy about his situation as a full Doma man, being treated like that by his wife who's supposed to be submissive. They knew Orogba was no longer in his right senses because he was the bravest, most handsome and most hardworking man in that village before he got hooked up by Momo. And they were so scared to confront Momo. Momo was only pretending to be nice to her husband because she would need his help to carry out all her rituals in order to meet up with the stipulated time. "My dear husband," she said again, "please, do we have any food in this house? I'm starving." "Yes, my dear wife," with a smile, Orogba brought powdered yam and egusi soup for Elolo. In few minutes, she finished everything and Orogba was shocked. "You must be very hungry," he said. "I've not eaten anything today, thank you so much," she said. Then, Orogba took the plates and cup to their kitchen. When he returned, he saw his wife, Momo, on her knees. Then he rushed to her and asked her, "What happened? Why are you kneeling down? Whatever it is, stand up," he said, but Momo refused and said, "I need your help. There are some rituals I will need to do to stay alive. And I will need you to help me get some of those things. And you will have to do it willingly and without murmur, else the charm will fail. Anything you want me to do, I will do it happily. Do you forget you're my wife?" Momo smiled. And they hugged each other. Then Momo said, "Come and sit down, my husband, let me tell you everything." She continued. First, I want you to know that I'm not innocent of the oath I took yesterday in the village square. Orogba screamed with fear, so why did you take the oath? That oath is very deadly. And she said, I planned my escape, everything was in control until that foolish man ruined everything for me. I did chalk and salt charm so that whatever oath I take, I will come back and vomit everything, but Chief Manto gave me water to drink. You know water has no enemy. And the charm was neutralized. Then she said, I have 3 days to perform all the numerous rituals, else there will be doom. What are the rituals? Said Orogba. We will need to start immediately. First, after this food I have eaten now, I will not eat or drink water till I finish the rituals. Same with anyone who volunteers to join me. Orogba screamed. Secondly, we have 21 rituals to complete in 3 days. The first ritual, I will dance round the whole village this night, naked with shame, like a woman who has committed adultery. And no one must see me. And I must not look back. So your work is to follow me and make sure no one sees me and distract any obstacle on my way. Second ritual, this same night, I will go to the river of Umu's and bath. Then take some water from their home. Third ritual, the water I fetched from Umu's river will be used to sanctify this house against the gods of vengeance. The fourth ritual, tomorrow I will go to my father's farmland very early in the morning before the cock crows, and take the sounds of the footsteps I see on the ground. And I must not see anybody when going and coming back. Orogba signed, Fifth. Orogba signed, Fifth ritual to the 14th rituals will be done in my secret chamber tomorrow. But I will need you to help me go to Umadada village, to buy me 2 white she-goats without any stripes and must not be pregnant. You will also buy me 14 white chickens, with no stains on their body. When you come from Umadada market, you will also go to Bigadu market to buy 100 pieces of chalks and 21 bags of salt. Note, the chalk must be 100 pieces and no one must break. The 15th ritual will be done in your father compound. I will need to bat cry in your father's grave to help me beg the ancestors of this village to have mercy on me and no one must see me, said Ilolo. The 16th ritual, I will need to cook and feed 7 mad people and all of them must accept and eat the food and all of them must be from this village. The 17th ritual, I will need to feed 7 pregnant women and all of them must accept and eat the food without be forced and all of them must be from this village. The 18th ritual, I will need to feed 5 albinos in this village and any neighboring village, and they must accept and eat the food in good faith. The 19th to 21st ritual, this has to do with your family and mine. I will cook for them, they will eat and pray for me. And they must do it willingly. Then she said, I don't have problem with my family except yours. Then she started crying. Orogba consoled her and promised to talk to his family. Now it was time to start the rituals. Momo knew she would have to remove the scale in her husband's eyes as instructed. It's true that, in order for her to control her husband, she used magical powers. Now she will need to neutralize that because her husband will have to do everything willingly. Momo went inside her secret room, came back with water and asked her husband, Orogba, to wash her face. Orogba was curious and Momo said, please wash your face. Then he obliged, thinking it's part of the ritual. He went outside and washed his face. As he was washing his face, he felt solid materials falling off, but he was not seeing them. He continued until he was no longer feeling that. Immediately he regained some consciousness. He stood outside gazing at the moon shining bright. He started soliloquizing. What happened to me? Why do I feel strange? Momo already knew how he will react, hid behind the door, shaking. What will happen now? Will he agree to help me with the rituals again? She murmured. At that moment, Momo's hand pushed the door. Orogba heard the noise and said, who's that? He entered and saw Momo. Why are you hiding? He said. Momo decided to confess to him. She said to herself. Orogba truly loves me. Let me put love to taste again. My beloved husband, she said. I have a confession to make. Orogba was still curious and he kept stirring, looking straight to Momo's eyes. Momo continued, I've controlled, embarrassed and humiliated you for many years. I have used you like my servant. Orogba still looking surprisedly, I charmed you, she said. I've been very wicked. You've done everything out of your senses. Orogba was amazed. Then he said, but you were a good and caring girl when I married you. What happened? Greed, she said. Then Orogba screamed, greed, but I provided almost everything you wanted. Momo cut in and said, almost but not everything. Yes, you were hardworking, caring and loving, but I wanted more. I wanted expensive clothes and beads just like my friends Oloma and Oligo. I wanted a luxury and royal lifestyle just like my friends. Orogba angrily said, they could afford those clothes and beads because they were princesses. Oh, I see why you threw yourself over the prince yet he refused to choose you. You're a disgrace. Momo remained calm. Orogba was still quarreling, saying so many things, how he was strong and industrious. Then he looked at Momo and asked, what did you do? What happened? Momo sat down and begged him to do the same. Then she started crying, I'm sorry. I know Orogba cut in, screamed and asked her to speak up. At this point, the children woke up and rushed to the living room. Then they saw their mother and their first daughter, Iro, said, Mother, what happened? Why did you stay that long? Momo was about to talk, but Orogba asked her to stop. He said, it's late. They should go back to bed now. Iro, your mother will talk to you all in the morning. They agreed and went back to sleep. The children were surprised because that has never happened. Their father has never talked to their mother like that. In fact, their mother was the head of the family. They were about entering their rooms, Iro stayed back and hid behind the door. The rest children did the same. Orogba, thinking that the children were sleeping, was calm in order not to wake them up again. Momo, tell me everything, if you know I will help you with the rituals. Momo smiled and said, I thought you didn't remember. Orogba said, I remember the 21 rituals. So tell me everything else, okay, Momo said. Momo started her confession. My husband, when you were unable to provide that luxury lifestyle for me, I sorted for it myself. You remember Lagbeja? Orogba said, yes, your late cousin who was a witch native doctor. Momo said yes. I heard she gives wealth, so I went to her, so that she will give us too. I actually wanted her to help you acquire more money so that you are able to provide more for me. But she refused. She advised me to fight for myself, that you will abandon me for another woman when you become successful. I declined until she told me her life history. She told me how she went across 7 seas in order for her husband to gain wealth. Yet he impregnated another woman just few months after he became wealthy. She said that was the first murder she committed. Yes, she went to the 7 seas to switch the wealth to herself. When they told her, it can't be done unless he dies, she didn't think twice. She didn't think twice before she took his life. On hearing this, Momo said, I was afraid that you might do the same thing. So I did the wealth rituals for myself. But I went overboard. The first time, the ritual was simple. I was asked to provide 1 goat, 20 kola nuts and 10 butternuts. So Lagbeja asked me to start up a business that I will prosper from there. That was when I started selling food. The business was growing, but I was still not able to buy the luxury things I tasted for. Orogba was still doing well. You were providing for me, I was getting money from my food business, yet I was not satisfied. I needed more. Now the confession was getting more interesting. Orogba was restless already. Momo continued her confession. She confessed how she went back to Lugbeja. She told her she wanted more wealth. Then Lugbeja told her she would need to do more too. Momo didn't know it was behold human. Lugbeja asked her to go home and think about it. Even when Momo told her she was ready, she refused and asked her to go home. The third time, she went back to her. She refused till I visited the seventh time. The seventh time, Momo was so angry with Lugbeja and told her so many wrong things, how she didn't want her to be rich and wealthy like her, how she was selfish and so on. When Momo didn't stop talking, Lugbeja screamed at her and told her she was only protecting her conscience. That the journey of quick wealth is dark and furious. So Lugbeja looked into Momo's eyes and asked her again if she was really ready to sell her conscience for the sake of wealth. Momo didn't think twice and she said yes. She ran into her hut, brought out a bean cake from a calabash and gave it to Momo. Eat it, she said, finish it. Then she asked her to go home and come back after 3 days. That night everything changed. Momo continued her confession. She told Orogba how she became a witch. That night, she became a witch and started seeing strange things. She went back to Lugbeja after 3 days. She told her everything. Lugbeja welcomed her and gave me a bottle of blood. That she should be adding it to the food she sells. Momo wanted more explanation, but Lugbeja told her to do as instructed. Lugbeja said, from now on, this blood will take the place of red oil in your soup. Go, come back in 1 week's time and tell me what you see. Momo went back home. As she was cooking the next day, she added the blood as instructed. Immediately a strange aroma popped up. The atmosphere changed. The aroma was so strong and beautiful. Suddenly the villagers started queuing for her food that was not ready yet. She cooked their times that day and everything finished. In 1 week, she has made 10 times the money she used to sell before. 1 week later, Momo went back to Lugbeja and told her about the magic. Lugbeja dressed beautifully just like a princess and she was so happy. Momo said, now oh know how you buy these luxury clothes. She smiles. Lugbeja replied, Momo, I can enjoy all over you, but the task is not over yet. I will do anything. Momo said. Momo told Lugbeja that she needed more blood, that the one she gave the other day was finished. Lugbeja laughed. It's not that easy to get, my dear. You will have to sort it yourself. I only gave you a sample. Lugbeja proceeded and told Momo that the day she made her a witch, she automatically gained magical powers. From now on, people will come to you for help. You will use those powers to grant them their help. In return, don't accept money. Any money you collect from them, you will lose in tenfold. So the only thing in exchange is their blood. Tell them to donate their blood in exchange of what they want. And they must do it willingly, and you must not take too much, else the person will die. Lugbeja showed Momo how she will be collecting the blood. Momo paused for a moment and said, asked Lugbeja how she will announce to people that she has suddenly become a witch doctor. Else nobody will patronize her. Lugbeja asked her to go home and create a sacred shrine in their house, and it must be their house. She gave her incense and asked her to burn it every day. When you do this, the vulnerable people who need your services will be attracted to your house. Lugbeja said. She looked at Momo again and said, Momo, you are now a witch doctor. Momo objected and said no, her husband Orogba will not allow that in their home. That Orogba doesn't like fetish things or witchcraft. She will send me packing, Momo said. Lugbeja laughed wickedly. I told you the journey to fast riches is dirty, didn't I? That blood is your wealth. And the blood must be taken in exchange for your services willingly. Don't forget that. No problem, I will give people money and ask them to donate their blood, Momo said. Lugbeja laughed again and said, that process will be too clean. It won't work. You must use your magical powers to provide magical solutions, then in exchange get their blood and use it to cook. That's it, the only procedure. That's the only blood that will work for you. Follow my lead, Momo, and see how you will be among the richest and most prominent women in the village of Ilolo. Momo refused and decided to quit everything at this time. I can't be a witch doctor, she said. Logbeja shut her up. Keep quiet, Momo. I warned you before. Do you think the things of the spirit are jokes to you? You think you can start today and stop tomorrow. It doesn't work that way, my dear. You're not going back, else you die. Logbeja continued laughing wickedly. Momo left her shrine angrily. She actually vowed never to return. When Momo got home, her husband was so happy. Why are so happy, she said. Then Orogba told her she's been made the woman leader in one prominent social meeting in their village. This is a position which only the rich can obtain. She was shocked. She wondered why they chose her. The same meeting she was rejected. The same meeting she was rejected 5 times. Now they've seen how she's making money now. How did she suddenly become worthy? Momo said angrily. Orogba said, you've always wanted to be part of them, so forget what has happened in the past and accept the offer. The next day, Momo went to the meeting to accept the offer. She was asked to pay a huge sum of money and other requirements to be eligible as a new member. She paid immediately because she had the money. She was told to go and buy the 7 different expensive uniforms they use for different events and gatherings. That night, Momo couldn't sleep. In just a week, the villagers has begun to notice me, she said. Before now, they respect me because of my husband Orogba, but the difference is clear. Money is good, oh. Money brings so much respect. Imagine the great Ososo Social Club of Ilolo meeting, that I was not allowed to be a member before. Now I'm their chair lady because they've seen that I'm making plenty money in my food shop. What do I do now? I can't go back to where I was last week, and Orogba will never accept shrine in this house. What do I do? The next morning, she didn't have blood to cook as usual, so she cooked the food like that. Only 2 persons came to buy throughout the whole day. Her children were surprised. Mama, what happened? We didn't have customers today. We had plenty customers like week. They complained bitterly, but Momo knew what happened. And she decided to use her blood the next day. As Momo was cooking, she used knife and cut herself. Let me try small first. If it works, I will take much the way I was taught by Logbeja. As she was bleeding, she pressed some drops of blood inside her pot of soup. Immediately the strange, beautiful aroma filled the air. She was happy and she decided to be using her own blood instead. To her highest shock, something happened. When she tasted the food, it was very bitter. She called her daughter to check. She did and spake out immediately. Mama, why it is so bitter? Iro said. Momo knew what happened. We will not sell today, she said. She decided to go and see Logbeja again. This time, she promised to beg for a better way out. When she got there, Logbeja was upset, then she begged her. Logbeja said, Momo, forget that I'm upset. I understand you. I know your husband Orogba. I know that he's brave and stubborn. I can still remember how he stood by you then. Well, the only way out now is to tie him spiritually. Make him your slave in the spirit. So whatever you tell in the physical, he will do. By so, even if you turn your full house to a shrine, he will have no say. Momo replied, what about his family member? They will know something is wrong with him. Especially his younger brother Odolo. He loves Orogba so much and they are so close as if they're twins. I know, just cage your husband and create a deep hatred in his heart for his family. For his brother Odolo. Double the hatred. You will see the result. Orogba will be by you, he will fight those who fight you and protect those who protect you. He's your slave. Slaves protect their masters, Logbeja replied. Momo asked her if there's no better option and she replied dead. Momo said no. She used the previous option. Orogba's spirit was caged and Logbeje gave Momo the magical incense she rejected before. When she got home, she created a sacred shrine and did the rituals and incantations as instructed by Logbeja. She started burning the incense that night. Poor Orogba, he never asked. Just the next day, people started coming to Momo's shrine with different problems. Some came for love potions, some came for strange sickness, some came for wealth, some came for revenge, some came for protections, so on and so forth. Momo provided their solutions in exchange of their blood. Some wise people rejected it because they knew the blood might be used for something evil even though they don't know the exact thing, but those under pressure, especially the most vulnerable, those ill with strange sicknesses, donated their blood willingly. This went on for many years. Momo became so wealthy. Now she has many employees because she, Orogba and her 4 children could no longer do the whole work. Everyday people came from different villages to buy her magical food. The aroma and taste of her food was the talk of those villages. One day, Momo's daughter was very ill. Just the way she has healed people with her magical powers, she did same to her daughter, but it didn't work. She was surprised. So she went to Logbeja to know why. This time, Logbeja has been so sick and weak. In her lying state, Momo explained everything to her and she smiled. Momo, your daughter will need to give her blood. No, oh. She can't. That's my daughter. Then Logbeja revealed the shocking revelation. I will advise you to never use your magical powers on your children, because it comes with a great repercussion. I do not understand, Momo said. Logbeja continued, people give you their blood in exchange for your services, and the blood does magic to your food. Have you wondered why? Secondly, you told me how you wanted to use your blood and your food turned to bitter leaf juice. Do you why? Momo murmured, Logbeja continued, the moment someone exchanges her blood for your service, automatically her soul and destiny is trapped. All the people you've helped with treatments, rituals, riches, etc. Momo, they are all in bondage. They will be useless until you release them one day. Momo was shocked. Then Momo said how? Logbeja replied. When you're dead, their souls will be freed, or when you're no longer a witch. Then you will have to vomit the bean cake I gave to you. It's impossible to mortals, only the gods can do that. And the gods only do it to the ones they cherish. Momo sighed. She went home and took her daughter to another herbalist. Few days later, Logbeja died. Few days later, Logbeja died. This was Momo's confession. When Orogba heard all the confession, he was dumbfounded. You are wicked, he said to Momo. I had choices to better women, but I chose you. I was the choice of many beautiful girls and princesses from this village and the neighboring villages because I was handsome, brave and hardworking. I rejected everyone because of you. I was offered money, riches and luxury by the king of my mother's village. You told her if only I agreed to marry her daughter Obi, yet I said no. The 2 princesses of our late king, who were your friends, begged me to marry any of them because they loved me so much. I refused and I never told you because I saw how strong your friendship were and I didn't want to break it. The same princesses that became your friends through me. Momo, you didn't remember where I picked you from, you didn't remember how I helped you. You were an orphan, you were abandoned and hated by everyone because they believed you were a cursed child. They believed that because of the tragic way your parents died. Your only aunt who accepted you, the same Logbeja's mother, treated you like a slave, including the same Logbeja who led you astray. The reason I came to you the first time was an intention to help you. I saw the suffering you were going through and the way the whole villagers sidelined and hated you. I felt pity for you. It was later, I developed feeling for you. Momo, if you checked all the women I left for you, you will see that you are not as beautiful as they are. But I chose you regardless. It was when the villagers started seeing us together, they accepted you. The princesses you wanted their life so badly were my friends, they became your friends through me. I wanted the best and happiness for you, yet you failed me. Momo fell on her feet and started begging. She begged and cried for Orogba mercy, forgiveness and acceptance. Orogba paid deaf ears to her and even threatened to leave the next day. Then Momo talked about the rituals that, if she doesn't start the rituals that day, she might not be able to finish it and the gods of the land will take justice on her, which she knows will be dead. Orogba shouted, yes, that's what I want. For the sake of the people's souls in bondage. You must die. Immediately their 4 children came out crying. They told their parents that they didn't go back to sleep, they hid between the door and have listened to all Momo's confessions. They blamed their mother for everything, for her greed and wickedness. Then their first child, Iro, turned to his father and started begging him to forgive their mother. Father, for the sake of my siblings and I, please have mercy on her. We had everything, we are no longer children. Myself and Soto are adults, Lilo is a teenager and Beletu is almost a teen too. We are not babies. We understand everything. My siblings and I knew things weren't ordinary in this house, so we paid close attention to mother and we discovered all her secrets. The first secret, Beletu caught her putting blood inside soup, so since that day, we stopped eating food in the shop. You notice for more than 2 years, we've cooked our food at home ourselves. Mother suspected and asked us why, then we told her, we were tired of the shop food. She never bothered us again, instead she joined us to eat the food we cook at home. Orogba interrupted and said, why didn't you tell me? And they started laughing. Father, we told everything but you asked us to keep quiet. You even punished Beletu for spying at mother. Momo calmly said, you weren't in your right senses. Iro continued begging, Father, please forgive her, if you don't help her with the sacrifice, she will die and the village elders will banish everyone in this family. Iro fell to her father's feet and started crying, the rest siblings and Momo joined. At this point, Orogba couldn't help it. He bowed. And they thanked him. Momo once again explained the whole rituals to the children, and they embarked on the journey. Now, it was already 2 a.m. They were running late. The first 3 rituals were supposed to be this night. My confession took the whole time. Momo said. She was already scared. Iro consoled her and said, Mother, the confession was necessary, she said. Now, instead of only you and Father, let us assist you. Yes, all the kids agreed, but Momo refused. Iro, you can join, but the rest can't. They can't even stay without food for a whole day. Beletu, you that used to cry because of food. They all started laughing. Iro, can you stay without food for 3 days? You have to be sure, else you might spoil the whole rituals. Orogba said. Yes, Papa, Iro replied. Beletu, all of you should go inside and sleep. Yes, Papa, they said. Okay, let's start. Orogba said. Momo took Iro and Orogba inside her sacred shrine. Did some incantations and declared the ritual started. She removed all her clothes, she started the shameful dance. Orogba stayed in the front, while Iro stayed at her back. Momo danced round the village. The moon was shining so bright and Momo was afraid that someone might see her. There was an obstacle. Orogba sighted Tegbo, the mad woman, from afar. Momo hid inside the bush and waited until Orogba was able to take her and took her far away. Finally, they finished task 1. Momo went straight to the river of Umus and quickly took her bath. They fetched the water and ran back home. They've just finished the house cleansing with the first cock rocks. Thanks goodness we are successful with the 3 rituals. She thanked her husband Orogba and Iro. We don't have time, today is Owan day, people go to farm early, let's go fast and perform the 4th ritual. He brought out his bike, carried Iro and Momo and they went to Momo's father's farmland as instructed. They got to the farm and saw many footsteps. Momo randomly took 4. I hope you have not taken the 4, Orogba said. Mother, use your magical powers to check. Momo smiled. These are footsteps of the spirits. There can never be duplicate. Momo said. Why are there so many footsteps? Iro asked curiously. It seems they had a feast. It wasn't a feast, the spirit of our forefathers has been evoked. The elders and the whole community summoned their spirits the day of the oath-taking, now they are coming out in mass to seek justice. This is the essence of the rituals we're doing. Momo concluded. So we are appealing to go back? Iro asked again. No, we are begging them to have mercy on us. Orogba said. Iro murmured. This discussion took place when they were coming back from the farm. Yes, this 4th ritual was successfully. Momo was so happy and grateful to Iro and her husband Orogba. Momo took the son to her shrine. She did the ritual as directed by the witch doctors. She came back few minutes later with a huge sum of money. She gave it to Orogba and asked him to go to Umadada village and buy the items needed for the 5th to 14th rituals that she will be doing at home herself. Orogba left immediately. Momo took Iro inside her shrine for the first time to assist her pound some herbs she will be needing for the rituals because she was exhausted already. When Iro entered the secret room, she almost fainted. She wanted to shout, but Momo stopped and lied to her that if she does, she will be deaf and dumb. Immediately Iro kept calm. Pound this alligator pepper, Momo said. We don't have time. As Iro was pounding, she couldn't take her mind away from the whole situation. From her mother's confessions to the horrible shrine she's seeing brightly for the first time. The other night they entered, the place was dark. Contention is a virtue. Mother is facing all this because she was greedy. Not that my father was not capable. If she has waited, my father would have acquired all these things we have now. Even more. Iro, add more alligator pepper. That one will not be enough, Momo said. Iro didn't answer her. Momo tapped on her shoulder and said, What are you thinking, my child? Iro shocked and came back from the land of the thinking. Mama, sorry. I think I'm overwhelmed with the whole thing. It's okay. Please add more alligator, Momo said. Yes, Mama. Momo asked the other children to go to school because she didn't want the villagers to suspect something was going on in their house. Then she asked them to stay in the shop after school because that was their normal routine. Beletu asked, Mama, are we selling food today? Will you have strength to cook? I didn't cook yesterday because I was not around. If I don't cook today, the villagers will start to suspect something. I cook my magical soup at home myself sometimes. I will cook the soup, then the workers will come and carry it and make the fufu in shop. If the villagers suspect anything, they might go a step ahead of us. Momo said. Momo and Iro has finished preparing the things for the next rituals. As she was waiting for Orogba, she quickly cooked a large pot of her magical soup. She was just rounding up with her magical bonga soup when the workers arrived. Normally, Momo sells only one pattern of food, fufu and bonga soup. And she sometimes, when she's tired, she makes the food at home, then the workers would take the food to shop for sale. When the workers arrived, they were surprised that only the soup was ready at that time. Ma, it seems you are not too fine. Yesterday, we came to shop and Oga asked us to go home that we won't be selling food, and today, it's getting late, and only the soup is ready. Momo wanted to get upset because she doesn't like questions, but she quickly adjusted. My dear, yesterday, I went to visit my cousin who put to birth in Obairo village. And I came back late, that was why we didn't meet up to time today. Please help me explain to my beloved customers. She said. Oh, congratulations, they said. Please take the soup to shop and you all should quickly make the fufu. Yes, ma, they said. Iro walked in. Iro, why did you not go to school today? One of the workers asked. Are you done with your WAC? The other one asked. Iro is sick. So I asked her to stay at home and rest, Momo replied. Oh, so sorry, they said. I'm not done with my WAC exams. It's starting next week. Thank you, Iro replied. When the workers left, they were surprised. Madam is so respectful today, we pray she stays like this even though it's just today. They laughed. They carried the big pot of soup and went back to shop. Few hours later, Orogba came back from the market with all the ritual items. Immediately Momo went to her shrine and started the rituals. Orogba also went to see the elders in her family for the final rituals. And they promised to give him feedback the next day. Orogba came back and tells the family. I pray they accept my food because these people hate Momo so much. Belitu said. Their reasons are justified. Your mother went too far, Orogba replied and went inside. Momo did the rituals till midnight while the family waited for a success confirmation. Moment later, Momo came out looking very tired. The rituals have been accepted, she said. They were happy. Iro started dancing. Where do you still have strength to dance when you didn't eat or drank anything the whole day? Orogba said. Iro smiled and said, Papa, we have only 7 more to go. Tomorrow is another day, please let's go and sleep. Momo said. Wait, Orogba said, I will advise we go and perform the 15th ritual now instead of going later. We might sleep off and miss the time. I know you're tired, manage please. Papa is right, Mama, Iro said. Okay, let's go. Orogba's father grave, where they are performing the 15th ritual, is their former house where they lived for many years before Momo built the house that they are living now. So that house was still vacant because no one dares to enter. The magical powers, and she has performed healing and rituals in that house. So people were scared to rent the house, thinking the house might be haunted with the evil spirits that she has cast out from her patients. So the house has been vacant for 4 years. The house mostly was the refuge of mad people when it rains. Aside that time, even the mad people were scared of the house. Momo, Orogba and Iro quietly trekked to the place because it was close to their new house. They entered inside the house and Orogba and Iro went round to make sure that there was no mad person around. Immediately, Momo went to the room her father-in-law was buried and quickly did the ritual. When they got home, she consulted their oracle and she came out from the shrine smiling. The ritual went well. It's accepted. They all smiled and they went to bed happily. The next morning, Momo woke very early and made her magical soup for her shop. Then she also cooked the food she was instructed to give mad people, pregnant women and albinos. But this time, she didn't use blood or any magic. She packed the 7 food for mad people, 7 for pregnant women and 5 for albinos. Orogba asked Momo to go and look for the 5 mad people. Iro should go and look for pregnant women and she will look for the albinos. Momo agreed, but Iro objected. Papa, Mama must not follow us, else nobody will collect this food from us. Even the hungry mad people will reject it. We will have to look for those people ourselves, while Mama stay at home and wish us luck. Oh, you don't really understand anything. Mama really charmed you. See, everyone in this village is scared of Mama. Some are even scared of us too. Momo sighed, it's true. Iro continued, we moved to this house 4 years when we built this house. Till that house is still vacant. No one wants to rent the house or stay there for free because they are afraid of us. You already know the reason why people queue for our food. Orogba murmured. Okay. Momo, stay at home. Iro, let's go. Orogba and Iro went out to share the food. As they were going, Popo, let's go and check the health center to see if today is their maternity day. Iro said. That's a good idea. Iro, you are full of great wisdom, Orogba said. Iro smiled and they continued their journey. When they got to the maternity gate, behold, it was indeed maternity day. The place was so noisy. It seems many pregnant women are around for checkup. Let's go in, Orogba said. Papa, let me go alone. Remember, we are supposed to give just 7 food and the hungry people here are definitely more than 7. Stay here so that we don't share more than the instructed numbers. Who knows, that might spoil the ritual. Yes, you're right, my dear. Go on, Orogba said. There was only one health center in the entire Ilolo village. It was in the outskirts of the village, which was a bit far from the people's residence and market. And maternity day was always very crowded. As a result, some pregnant women come very early without taking breakfast, and cooked food was not sold inside the health center except snacks like biscuits, water and soda drinks. So if they want a proper food, they will have to leave their queue, go inside the village to get the food, and sometimes, before they come back, their position has been taken or the nurses have called their names, then they will have to start afresh. So most times, they stay hungry till they finish their checkups, while some go for little snacks like biscuit and chin-chin. Iro went inside, greeted all of them. Immediately they saw her with food. The hungry pregnant women thought she was selling. They quickly rushed the food. They didn't even ask how much before they started eating the food. Some wanted to, but Iro told them it's finished. One of them asked, "Why did you bring this small food for sale?" "How much?" one of them asked. She was almost done with her food. "It's free." "I'm doing soloka," Iro said. The same woman who asked her why she brought small food, said, "I thought as much." They thanked her and prayed that she gets all her heart desires. And they also prayed that her marriage be blessed with many boys and many girls, and most importantly, she will not be delayed. Iro echoed Izzy. Iro thanked them and left the premises. Soloka means charity. Soloka was a popular practice among young girls in the village of Ilolo. The young girls are often advised to do soloka to pregnant women, old people and sometimes, vulnerable people. In return, the people will bless them. So many people believe that it provides good luck in marriage. Their belief was so strong that anytime the villagers see a newly married woman with any marital difficulty, like delay in childbearing or any marital crisis, the first thing they ask the woman is, "Did you do soloka before you got married?" If no, they immediately attribute all the problems to that. And the first solution will be, go and do the soloka immediately to avoid more crisis. So when Iro told the pregnant women that the food was soloka, they immediately concluded that it was for her future marital blessings. When Iro got to her father's place, she told him everything and he was so happy. "Papa, let me do all the sharing, people might suspect you too." "Okay. Let me just follow you, you will do the sharing," Orogba said. "Papa, we have only 2 albino family in the whole of Ilolo. Can we give the 5 food to the 2 families?" "I'm so confused. We will have to do it like that. Even the gods are aware of that. The first family have 3 albinos. The father and 2 kids. Then, the second family has 2 albino kids. They went to the 2 families and shared the food like that. Now, they were left with the mad people. Papa, I'm happy we're done with the hardest part. I thought the pregnant people won't accept our food. They didn't even care about my mother," Iro said. Orogba murmured. They searched and Orogba murmured. They searched and searched for mad people to no avail. "Where are these mad people?" Orogba said surprisedly. "They used to roam everywhere." 3 hours later, they saw one mad woman. They quickly offered her the food, but she said no. She refused and ran away. Iro wanted to chase her, but Orogba stopped her. "Remember, they must accept our food willingly. They continue searching, all of them rejected their food. This time, it was getting late and they were tired. Iro has given up, but Orogba encouraged her. They continued till midnight. The moon was shining so bright. Then they sat under the tree and were waiting and hoping for a change. Suddenly, one madman came to meet them. Before they could say a word, he carried the food bag and ran away. Orogba and Iro ran after him. He ran to their old house, they followed him. He went inside, Iro and Orogba still followed him. Behold, all 6 mad people in were there. Sitting calmly, immediately, the one that took the food bag, shared the food for them and took the remaining one. All of them opened the food at the same time, and started eating at the same time. And they are so fast and we're almost finishing the food at the same time. Orogba and Iro were so shocked. They couldn't move because the whole scenario was so strange. Iro, let's go, Orogba said. Just as they were about to leave the door, one mad woman said, stop. They did. We accepted this food because of you, Iro. You're so kind. Your mother, Momo, chased us like flies anytime we go close to her shop for food. Even when we have money to pay, she still rejects us. But you, Iro, give us free food with the slightest opportunity you get. Momo did too much. Oh. For her to succeed in these rituals, a goat head will need to pass through a tiny needle. I wish her luck. She started laughing. Orogba and Iro said thank you and left. They've only walked for 3 minutes, when they started displaying their madness. I thought they've regained their sanity, Orogba said. I think the gods just used them to pass a message, Iro replied. Iro, please continue to show kindness to humanity, you see it pays, Orogba said. Signed Iro. They got home late. Momo and the rest children were already outside. Iro explained everything to them. Even with the disappointment, I'm glad you succeeded, Belitu said. Momo once again thanked her whole family for standing by her. Iro told them what the mad person said. Ota laughed and said, is it the rituals we are almost done with or another one? They all burst into laughter except Momo. Who knows if that's not a prophecy from the gods? She thought. They all went to bed. The next day, which was the 3rd and the last day of the sacrifice, Momo managed to cook her magic soup. Iro was so down and tired. She couldn't even assist her mother. Momo comforted her and asked her to rest, that she will manage. Orogba came out dressed. Where are you going? Momo asked. I want to go and see my brothers. They promised to get back to me yesterday, but they didn't. Let me go and see them before the food gets ready. Alright, Momo replied. When Momo finished cooking the Soloka food, she packed the food for her family and the food for her husband's family separately. Iro came out from her room and said, Mother, it seems you're done. Yes, my dear. Since your father is not back yet, I want to deliver my family's food first. Momo replied. Mother, your family might also not collect from you, and even if they do, they might not eat the food. You've never given them anything before. Many times, they came to you for help, you declined because of the way they treated you in the time past. If you take the food to them yourself, they will suspect something, they might even think it's poisoned. It's true, oh. Momo replied. Let me go, they will think it's my marriage Soloka food. Iro said. But you look so weak. Don't worry, Mama, I will manage. Iro carried the food and left to her mother's family. Just as she planned. The family thought the food was her marriage Soloka, they accepted it and asked her to wait. The senior man in the family called her son to inform the other family members. In no time, all of them gathered together and asked Iro to serve the food. They ate and prayed for her. One of the elder, Ozomo, stood up and appreciated Iro. Iro, you're a very wise child. Even when your mother has neglected us, you still remembered that you have a mother side. You know, because of what happened in the past, your mother has vowed never to associate herself with us. If she had followed you here, we won't have touched this food, but since you came alone, we couldn't help it. Thank you for seeing us worthy. Iro burst into tears and apologized on her mother's behalf, and she promised that from that moment, things will change for the better and she make sure her mother come to see them very soon. They thanked her and she left. Even when she left, Momo's family couldn't stop to admire how humble, kind and wise she was. She took after her father, not that her wicked and heartless mother. Ozoma said, when my son Ife was very sick, Momo asked me to donate my blood before she treat him. What? And you never told us? Elder Otabu screamed. What would you have done? Fight her. Ozoma replied. What's she doing with blood? Another elder asked. Nothing, I believed she didn't want to treat my son. Thanks to Olugbeja, who later treated him for free. She has nothing to do with blood. Is she a nurse? Ozoma continued. Momo is not only wicked but greedy. With all the money she has, do you know, she takes half of the crops I realize from her father's farm lands every year. Ozoma continued. What? Why? The elder screamed. That woman is cruel. It's as if I'm just working for her. She knows when the crops are due for harvesting. Once she noticed that, she calls me for the sharing. This has been go. Ever since my farmlands were weak and you all advised me to leave it to mature for 5 to 6 years. When that happened, what will my family feed on was my concern. When I noticed Momo and Orogba were no longer farming, I approached Orogba, who told me he has left his own for his brothers already. I didn't want to meet Momo before, but Orogba asked me to. To my greatest shock, Momo asked me to be paying heavily, when I begged her for a lesser option. She brought this. I left initially, but I had to go back because I realized my family will starve. You all are also managing, you won't have let me starve, but the burden and pressure would have been too much for you. So I accepted. Do you know, for the past 3 years, all the fufu she sells in her shop are from my farm. Yet, when I send Ife to buy me food from her shop on credit, she will chase him out. Ozoma concluded. All of them had 1 or 2 ugly encounters with Momo, but Ozoma's own was the worst. Elder Otabu said. Back to Momo's house. Iro told her mother everything that happened in her family house. Momo was shocked. Why do they hate me this much? Iro interrupted her. Mother, you also did too much. Stop. Do you know what I went through with those people? They abandoned me when I had nothing, they treated me like a slave. My parents died on the same day, cholera. They didn't know what cholera was then, and how to treat it. They didn't know with common sugar and salt the person might survive. Many people died that time, but when it got to my family, they put the whole blame on me. They said I was an evil child, that it was also because of that my mother didn't have another child after me. A 7-year-old me was accused like an adult. The only woman who accepted me, my Aunt Annie, Lugbeja's mother, treated me like a slave. Now that I'm rich, they want to reap where they did not sow. Never. Momo said. But you needed their help now. If it was not me, they would have rejected your sacrifice, and you know what that means. Mama, it's hard time you adjust. I acknowledge that they wronged you, but try and forgive and forget, because life is a circle. We don't know what the future holds. Who would have thought that the great Momo will need the help of mad people? We beg them to eat the same food you chase them from every day. That's life. You can't have it all. After this time, if you ever get a second chance, please use it and change for the better. Iro concluded and left to her room. Murmured Momo. Iro has really grown. I wondered where she got this whole wisdom from. She smiled. Can I ever change? She thought. That moment, Orogba came inside. How did it go? Momo asked. They don't want your food. Oh no. We made mistake. Iro would have taken the food and they would have thought it's her marriage soloka food. She's just coming from my family, and they accepted her food thinking is a soloka. Orogba hissed. My family are known as the wisest and the most dignified in the entire village of Ilolo. Why did I go and inform them in the first place? Before you do any time with them, they must be informed beforehand, else they will reject it. It seems you've forgotten them. I thought you said they will listen to you. Momo replied. I told you that when I was still in your cage. I didn't know many things has gone wrong. For 12 years, you caged my spirit and I didn't know what I was doing. I went there as if everything was normal. But I was surprised the way my uncle, Azusa, screamed when he saw me. He screamed so hard that my uncle Im in the next compound heard and ran to his rescue. Uncle Im came and also screamed. Before you knew it, the whole place was filled up. I was lost, then my brother picked sand from the floor and threw it on my body. I was shocked. Are you mad? I said. He hugged me and started crying. I thought you're a ghost. I was still lost. Everywhere was calm. Everyone was silent. My uncle Azusa looked at me and said, why are you here? I came to tell you all that I will be bringing Soloka food next tomorrow. Uncle Azusa's wife, Emila, stood up and started dancing. Iro is so kind and respectful. I know by now, noble men will be coming for her hand in marriage. I wanted to tell them the Soloka was not for Iro's marriage. But I was still carried away with their behavior, especially my younger brother Odolo. The women were dancing, happy. Suddenly, Uncle Im shut them up. Women always carried away by emotions. Stop and remain calm. The women quickly kept quiet. You've forgotten the prophecy so soon. I'm so sure the food is from Momo, not Iro. Even if it was Iro that here herself, I would have still doubted. Emila, you and the rest women should go and make delicious meal for our beloved brother who was lost but is found. Thanks to our forefathers. Uncle Azusa looked at me and said, we know you don't understand anything yet. Let's go inside. We will explain everything to you. That was how they started explaining. Orogba continued. Momo, you already know, my extended family is large and not weak. And we care so much for each other too. I was a man of great value. Respected by the big and small. I was brave, hardworking and very industrious. All of a sudden everything changed. They said, I became so weak and lazy. You treated me like your servant, you used me anyhow you wanted. They said I stopped acting like the man of the house while you took charge. They were surprised, the whole village of Ilolo were amazed and they started asking them to look for solution. They said they also noticed your sudden strange behavior and the wealth you were acquiring and they knew the truth wasn't far from you. They said. Many times, they confronted you but I chased them away. They said the last time I visited them was 9 years ago. During my father's burial. They said, I took them to the king's palace 5 times that they were CA. They said, I took them to the king's palace 5 times that they were causing trouble in my home. I believe it was still your spell, Momo. They said, at this point, they knew something was wrong with me. So they embarked on a journey. They said, they went far and near. Indeed, they discovered the truth. But they couldn't find an easy solution. Just like what Lugbeja told you. I will only be free the day you die. They said, they didn't stop. They kept searching for solutions. They said, just 3 years ago, they got a prophecy that your doom will come. But they will have to choose me or choose you. They didn't understand, they begged the seer to explain more but he refused and asked them to go home. Momo, they have been waiting for this time since. Orogba explained. Momo fell on the floor and started crying. But I freed your spirit now, she cried. I'm not through yet, Orogba said. He continued. Momo cut in, but you didn't tell me, they reacted like this 2 days ago. Have you joined them now, Momo said, and still crying. Orogba continued. Actually, all this happened 2 days ago when I went there. After telling me everything, I told them some of your secrets. What? Momo screamed. Iro heard and came out. What happened, Papa? Your father has killed me. Oh. Your father's family knows our secrets now. What? Iro exclaimed. Papa, please explain what happened. Orogba continued. He explained everything to Iro just as he did to Momo initially, and Iro started crying. They must have really missed you. Papa. Mama really dealt with them, she said. What did you tell them? Iro asked again. When I found out that they knew the food was for Momo, I still lied that the food was for you, Iro, but they refused and said that even if the food was actually from you, they will not eat it as long the food was prepared in my house. Okay. I decided to cook another food in our family house, they still refused. Okay, I said, you will cook yourself, they refused. Then I started begging. After a while, Uncle Im stood up and said, okay, we accept. Go home now. We will give you feedback tomorrow, we will send your brother to your house tomorrow. Make sure you hear from us again before you bring the food, he concluded. That was how I left that day. I kept all of it to myself because I felt it wasn't necessary to disclose it and I didn't want you all to be discouraged too. So this morning, since they didn't send my brother, I decided to go see them before you finish cooking the food. When I got there, I saw they were already in a meeting. They were about to send for me when I came in. You will live long, Uncle Azusa said. I greeted them and sat down. Then I told them the food was on fire. Tufiakwa, Uncle Im said, we can never accept that food, he said. At this point, I was upset, but you told me you've all accepted that day, he said. No, they won't accept. As I was quarreling, I mistakenly said, do you want bad things to happen to my wife? Immediately the whole place was calm. That was when I realized I've made a terrible mistake. So I needed to clear else that statement, else the matter will be more complicated. So in order to vindicate your mother, I told them, Momo is using magical power to sell her food, that's why people always have the urge to buy from far and near. Then, Uncle Im asked me, why the solaka? I lied and I told him, that's the ritual. To keep the business going. Then he asked me again, if the business doesn't go on, will she die? I said yes. Momo might die of heart attack. See, the secret I revealed was of no use because they have discovered the truth. The truth is, that first day we met, immediately I left, that very day, my family sent Uncle Im, my brother Odolo and my uncle, wife Emila back to the seer who gave them the prophecy of doom 3 years ago. This time, he explained the prophecy to them. He explained all Momo's secrets including the blood and the people in captivity. They said that, the seer told them, they will have to choose, is either they choose to free the hundreds of people in Momo's captivity or Momo. They said, if they eat Momo's food, those people will remain useless and in bondage for a very long time. No power will be able to set them free, but if they refuse the food, those people will be free, but Momo will have to face the vengeance of the gods. Iro was calm, confused and frustrated. This is not the first time I'm thinking about the people in bondage, she said. Orogba murmured, Now you understand. I don't know the kind of bondage I was all these years, but I know it won't be as tough as theirs, yet I'm confused this much. At least, I was not completely useless. Beletu is 11 years old, that means we had her when I was caged. My elder said those people in Momo bondage are completely useless. Some are mad, some are sick, some are barren, some are wayward, Some are poor, some are in prison, others are with one calamity or the other. At this point, I'm confused. Orogba concluded and went inside his room. Momo started crying, and she was begging Iro to help her talk to her father. It was getting late. Momo got so tense that she was having seizure. And Iro has been begging his father since noon. Now she has given up. Now, Momo was waiting for her doom. Odolo has missed his brother's company so much. They used to be very close. And they looked so much alike too. Some people in the village even thought Orogba and Odolo were twins. So Momo cut off their relationship the day she caged Orogba's spirit because she knew Odolo was a threat to her. Yes, Odolo would have been a my threat. He won't have allowed Momo to treat his brother like a slave. So Momo created a deep hatred in the heart of Orogba against his brother Odolo. So anytime Orogba sees Odolo, he chases him with anything he sees or has. One day, Orogba saw Odolo on his way to the farm, and he started chasing him with the cutlass he was holding. When he couldn't get hold of him, he threw the cutlass and it almost cut off his neck. It was a great shock to Odolo. What if I didn't bend my head, he said. Since that day, anytime he sight Orogba from a far distance, he flew. Even the villagers know about it, so anytime they sight Orogba, they alert his brother to run for his dear life. So for 12 years, Orogba and Odolo were apart. Even during their father's burial, Odolo still ran away from Orogba. When Odolo found out that the scale in his brother's eyes has been removed, he was so happy to be part of his life again. Before midnight, there was a knock in Orogba's house. It was Orogba's brother, Odolo. I couldn't sleep, my brother. You left the meeting with a broken heart. How are you? Odolo said. Orogba hugged his brother. Immediately he fit on his feet. I was about coming to your house. You see, blood is strong. Please help me. Stand up, my brother, Odolo said. No matter what Momo has done, she's still my wife. I still love her. Come and see her. She's dying already. How can I just wait and watch the mother of my children die like a chicken? My children will hate me forever. I will rather die. Before he mentioned die, Odolo stopped him and said, I will eat the food. For your sake. I know you will need help, that's why I'm here. Orogba hugged him again and thanked him. Immediately, Orogba said, Iro, bring the Soloka food. As she was bringing the food, Belitu screamed, Mama is dead. Oh. The food fell from Iro's hand. They rushed to Momo's room and saw her lifeless body on the floor. Odolo quickly bent down and checked her heart. She's not dead. She only fainted. Bring water. Belitu quickly brought water. Odolo poured it on her body. Few minutes later, Momo woke up. And Odolo, who wasn't aware of the 3 days fasting, quickly gave Momo water to drink. Orogba and Iro were lost in thought and they couldn't stop him. Now, the time was ticking. Iro went inside the kitchen and brought another Soloka food for her uncle Odolo. Uncle, please eat fast. It's almost 12 a.m. Odolo washed his hands, he ate some portion of the food and drank water. Momo was to perform the last sacrifice. They carried her to the shrine. Then she struggling performed the last ritual, but was it successful? No. From her shrine, she screamed. She fainted again. Orogba brought her out. They poured water on her body again and she woke up. Iro brought food for her. She quickly fed her some food for her to regain her strength. Why did you shout like that? She kept quiet. Orogba remembered the water she drank. She understood they broke the rule. He murmured. He went inside the kitchen and brought food for her daughter Iro, who has not eaten for 3 days. Iro also remembered the rule they've broken. My father will need to eat so that he will have strength to overcome whatever it becomes. That moment, Orogba brought the food. Iro insists they eat together. First Orogba refused. When Iro refused to eat, he agreed and they ate together. They were awake throughout the whole night. Now, Momo was able to gather some strength. Momo started. The last sacrifice was not successful because at least 3 elders from your family were supposed to eat the Soloka food, and secondly, I wasn't supposed to eat or drink water till I finished the rituals. Please, whatever becomes of me, please don't cry too much, you all tried your best. Please don't get upset with your family Orogba, they did the right thing. Those people in captivity are family too. My beloved children, please use me as a lesson. Greedy, envy, jealousy, stubbornness, impatience brought me here. Your father was providing enough, but I wanted more. If only I was wanted patience, everything I acquired in the dark way. He would have achieved all in a peaceful way. Please forgive me, Odolo. I caused the hatred. Orogba was under a strong spell. Please, my dear husband, please forgive me. Don't let my children suffer. Please teach them the right path. All of them were crying, including Odolo. Orogba knelt down and started calling the spirit of his forefathers to show them mercy. 3 hours later, the first cock rose. Immediately, Momo started coughing. She vomited the same bean cake she ate in Logbeja's shrine 12 years ago. The children screamed, "What is this?" The bean cake disappeared. They were all shocked. Belitu was shivering. Iro, take your siblings inside the room and lock the door. You're innocent. What you don't know will not harm or kill you. I didn't approve you for any sacrifice, so nothing can harm you. Orogba declared. Odolo said, "Izi." The children obeyed and went inside. Momo said, that was how she was initiated to witchcraft by Logbeja 12 years ago. Orogba said, "You're free now. Your heart is clean now. They should come and take the riches they gave you and let you be," he said. Immediately, the bean cake appeared again, and it was moving round. Orogba understood what that means. Immediately, he said, "I'm standing for everybody in this family, nobody is taking Momo's place. She started it, it ends with her. Pack everything that belonged to you in this house and go." Instantly, her shrine collapsed, some things disappeared. Orogba and Odolo went inside the shrine, brought out the remaining things and set them ablaze. "Take this key, it is the key to my secret room where I keep all my money. Bring the bag of money out and burn it." Odolo stopped her, but Orogba refused. "Everything that doesn't belong to us, we will destroy all. This house I laid the foundation myself. If the gods still want us to destroy it, I will." Orogba and Odolo went into the secret room. When Odolo saw the big bag of money, he screamed. "See money, oh." "Keep quiet," Orogba said. The bag was so heavy that only Orogba could. Heavy that only Orogba couldn't carry it. They brought the bag of money out and threw it inside the fire. The money refused to burn. Immediately the fire went off. They set up the fire again. When it was burning, they threw the money bag inside the fire. The fire went off immediately. Now, Momo was waiting for her next fate. That morning, they heard a shout. "Ewu! Ewu!" Odolo went out and saw people running towards their house. He went inside and told Orogba. "They are coming here." "Let's wait and see," Orogba said. Few minutes later, the villagers were in their house. "Fire, fire! Your wife's shop is burning. The fire is too high that we couldn't put it off. It looks straight because when we put water, the fire increases." The villagers said, panting. "What? Just go home, we will go there now." "Thank you," said Orogba. The villagers left curiously. "He's not even bothered, One person said, "They have money now, they will build new shop immediately." The other person responded. They went inside and told Momo. "I heard everything," Momo said. "I'm praying to the gods to take everything I acquired through the magical powers and spare my life with mercy." She started crying again. That morning, there were noises everywhere. Loud noises were coming from every part of Ilolo village. Orogba went to see. "Where is the noise coming from?" Odolo asked. "Everywhere," he replied. "The people in captivity in Ilolo village have regained their freedom. That's how it will be in other villages that were under my captivity," Momo said. They murmured. It happened that 9 out of the 10 mad people in Ilolo village were under Momo's spell. The 9 mad people regained their sanity. The sick ones were healed and so on. The whole village of Ilolo were filled with shouts of joy and excitement. That moment, the king's errand boys knocked at Orogba's house. "Greetings from the royal house. We have a message from the king. Your entire family is wanted in the palace now." "Okay, go, we are coming," Orogba said. "We are sorry, sir, we were asked to come back with you all." "Okay," Orogba said. They all changed their clothes and followed them. When they got to the palace, the whole place was filled up. The village seer was also present. Orogba and his family greeted the king, the elders and the villagers. "You're welcome." The king's spokesman, Chief Manda, responded. "We called you because of Momo, your wife." He continued, "We know everything that happened in your household and your wife's shop. When your wife took the oath that day, we asked our forefathers to judge her according to her deeds. Indeed, the gods are fighting for the land now. And we have decided to allow the gods to fight till the end. But the village seer has a message for her anyways." Chief Manda concluded. The seer stood up to speak. "Momo, you wanted to outsmart the gods, but you failed. This day was predestined by our forefathers. Even though you have succeeded with the 21 rituals, it wouldn't have worked because your time was up. This is a Ilolo village. It's different from other villages. Bad things do not prosper for too long here. You were warned many times in your dream to repent and renounce your witchcraft, but you refused. If you had turned a new leaf 3 years ago, you would have retained all your riches and business. Even though you don't sell too much, it would have been better than none. But you were greedy and selfish. Momo, you're supposed to be dead by now, but the ways of the gods are different. They've given you a second, but you will have to start afresh. They gave you a second chance because of 4 reasons. First, your husband and your daughter pleaded on your behalf with an empty stomach for 3 nights. They begged our forefathers to show you mercy. Secondly, in the 12 years of your wickedness, you didn't kill anybody. If you've killed a soul, your life or your child life would have been used for an exchange. Thirdly, no soul died in captivity. If anyone has died during the time you put them in captivity, your life won't have been spared. Fourthly, when the gods came to strike you, you were pure. You vomited the witchcraft. The gods does not kill the pure in heart. But there's one more thing. All the money you realize from using magical powers must be given to the people you kept in bondage for long. For these 12 years, you kept 126 people in bondage. The bag of money in your house will be shared equally to the people. I've given my message. He who has ears, let him hear. The seer concluded. Momo immediately knelt and apologized to everyone. Then she thanked the gods for giving her a second chance. The people were angry. Wicked woman. Devil. The seer asked the villagers to stop. Nobody must fight the one the gods has set free. Unless she will be visited by the gods. Take this as a warning, she must not be stigmatized, else you invite the punishment of the gods on the land of Ilolo. Send this message to those that are not here. The seer said. At this point, everywhere was silent. The great seer of Ilolo, How do I know all the freed people? Momo asked. The rumor will fly like a windfire. The real and the thieves will come for their share. Don't worry. When the real ones come, they will receive the money and it will bring them peace and joy. Immediately a thief touched that money, his/her will burn. The money will roast his or her hands, replied the seer. The seer went ahead and told her the total amount in the bag and how much she's supposed to give one person. As they were about to close the meeting, Orogba quickly asked if they can still live in their house. Yes, you can. You laid the foundation of that house with your sweat. By now, you would have built 3 of that, if you weren't kept in bondage by your wife, Momo. You are also among the people who will receive the money. Money. Don't lose hope. Your strength is restored. Start all over, it's a new dawn. The seer replied. What about my mother's expensive clothes, shoes, jewelry? Iroh asked. They are all yours now. You can give your mother some, but you must not give her more than I/3 of the whole. Iroh, you found favor in the sight of the gods because of your good heart, humility, and wisdom. 3 nights, you came out in the darkest of the nights to beg the gods of our forefathers. Your prayers were as pure as the sky. They were as harmless as a dove, and as cunning as a tortoise. The villagers burst into laughter. We want to know the prayer. The villagers echoed. I'm giving a message, silent, the seer continued. The prayers. He smiled. The spirit of my forefathers, Iroh, is down on my knees begging for mercy for my mother Momo. She was wrong, I know. She was wicked, I know. She was guilty, I know, but show her mercy for my sake. And I promise, in return I will be kind to all humans in Ilolo. And as you show mercy to my mother Momo, please do not forget those innocent souls in her captivity. Of what use is her life, with hundreds of people are in bondage? Have mercy. Have mercy. Have mercy. This was the prayer the seer said. The villagers were touched. The prince of Ilolo should search no more for a wife, for the gods has chosen Iroh to be his soulmate. And the marriage should be done in 8 market days. The villagers screamed for joy and Iroh and her family were surprised. At least there's a silver lining, Odolo said to Orogba, and he smiled. The gods are indeed wise. The king said. For the past 2 years, the crown prince Okuta has been on our neck. He told us he loves Iroh so much that she wants her to be his wife. But the queen and I refused because of the circumstances surrounding their family. You understand? Which sensible parents will allow their son to marry a daughter whose mother is known to be a dreaded witch? No one, my king. The crown answered. Now that the gods has confirmed that Iroh's mother, Momo, is no longer a witch and she has been cleared by the gods, we don't have any objection again, right? The queen, who was sitting behind him, answered yes with a smile. At least, Okuta will allow me to drink water and drop my cup. All the villagers laughed out loud. Prince Okuta walked close to Iroh. At this point, Iroh was so shy. I wish this ground would just open, let me hide there first, she thought. Iroh, many times, I've tried to say the same thing to you, but you run away. If you run today, I will chase you till you get tired. Iroh started laughing. Iroh, I love you with all my heart. The gods have confirmed it. Iroh couldn't hold herself anymore. She ran away and everyone, including Momo, laughed out so loud. The meeting ended with an amusement of Prince Okuta and Iroh. Just as the seer said, Momo shared all the money accordingly. She handed over all her clothes, jewelry, and shoes to Iroh. Iroh offered her some, but she refused. I want to start afresh in everything, please allow me, she said. Orogba took Momo to both families, they accepted her and were happy once again. Exactly 8 market days later, the marriage ceremony of the Prince Okuta and Iroh took place in Orogba's compound. The prince happily took his bride home. After that season, Ozoma and Orogba's brothers handed over their farmlands to them, and Orogba and Momo started their lives all over again. And they lived happily ever after. The end.